guys, thanks for coming back. This is US Agent 27. I'm from the MUCollectorClub.com forums, and today I'm back with another review. I haven't done one of these in quite some time. I really haven't picked up anything that's been worth reviewing. Not so much that, just I've been very busy and just really haven't had the time to really devote to this. I haven't forgot about all my subscribers. I will try to get more videos out there. But in the meantime, yes, I jumped on the bandwagon and I grabbed the SH Figuarts Iron Man and the War Machine. So this review right now you're going to see is all going to be about the Iron Man figure. Really great figure, and we're going to kind of go over all his articulation, and I'm going to do a ton of size comparisons, because that's one of the questions I get asked the most about this, since I said I was going to pick these up. And people are like, well, how do they scale up with Marvel Legends? So we're going to kind of go over that. Real quick, here's a look at the packaging. And the figure just comes in there. Pretty small box. It's not overly big. It's just big enough for one 6-inch figure. And then on the back, just zoom out a little bit. You can see that you see his gimmicks, some poses you can get into War Machine, and then his hands. So he comes with a lot of interchangeable parts and a lot of extra pieces. So we're going to kind of go through that. I just got him today. I just opened him up, and unfortunately, and this is not a knock on Figuarts, I think it was actually a shipping issue. I do already have an issue with the figure. On my figure, one of his elbow pads has broken off. I could glue it, but then it's not going to retain all of the articulation that he's supposed to have. I've ordered another one, so we'll see, how that goes. Maybe I can contact Figuarts, maybe exchange it or something, or get the replacement part. But in the meantime, I do have another one coming that's gonna be perfect, hopefully. So let's go ahead and take a look at the figure. When I first saw these figures advertised, it was probably about a year ago. I was extremely excited to buy these figures. I mean, just the look of the figure itself blew me away. So there we have Iron Man. And I really hope the camera is doing it justice. This figure is by far the best 6-inch, 5-inch, whatever inch you want to call it, figure. Now the figure is about 6 inches tall, so for some Marvel Legends he's going to stand a little bit short. Other ones he's going to fit right in. And we're going to do, like I said, at the end of the video I'll do a bunch of size comparisons, but I really do want to kind of go over the figure. The sculpt on the figure is perfect. It looks very much like Iron Man from Iron Man 2. Again, this is the Mark 6 armor. If you look at the sides and look at the back, and he looks really nice. The figure is extremely articulated. That was one of the draws to this figure. And let me just show you just a real quick look at the tray with everything, all the accessories that he came with. And I haven't really popped any of the stuff out yet, so we're going to kind of do this all together during the review. But you can see there's blast effects, there's a bunch of interchangeable hands, back flaps, shin flaps, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and pop this stuff out, and we're going to see how all this works. The reason why I'm doing the review in here instead of where I normally do them is I don't want to lose any of the pieces. And as you can see, there's quite a bit, and it's much easier for me just to kind of grab everything from here. So like I said, he comes with a bunch of stuff. One of the things with these figures is that you're going to want to make sure you have a baggie handy to keep all their parts together. But we'll kind of go over all this stuff later. So let's take a look at the articulation on this figure, because that is what most people are looking for when they're looking to get this figure. This Iron Man, by far, is the most articulate Iron Man I've ever seen. I actually, before this, I had the Rebel Tech Iron Man, the Mark 6 Rebel Tech Iron Man. This one blows it away by far. The paint job on this one is so much more vibrant. I really wish I still had that Rebel Tech so I could show you a comparison. But the paint job on him is amazing. Let me just see if I can get a little bit more light on him so you guys can kind of see the paint. And of course I can. But you have to take my word for it. Like I said, the paint is really, really spectacular. But if I put them farther back, you guys can see. It's a very shiny, glossy red paint. The gold is a very, very shiny gold. He has hints of silver accents all throughout him. I mean, the paint job is just fantastic. So, like I said, we're going to talk about articulation, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with the head. And again, I'm doing this in a different area, so I'm not used to doing this anymore. I used to do reviews in here all the time. But his head is extremely articulated. It will move down. It will move back. He actually has 2 points of articulation with that. He has a neck joint, and then he has actually his head is on a ball joint, so he can get a really nice range of motion. And he can kick back pretty far. And his head is removable. I can pop that right off. And you guys can see it's just a ball that plugs into his neck. And that plugs right back in. I'm just going to do that off camera so I don't break them. So while I'm doing this, the War Machine, just so you guys know, is exactly the same. There we go. Plugs right back in. Figuarts, for their figures, they make the Dragon Ball Z figures, which I have been looking at. You know, I'm not a really big Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm a fan of this figure line. So that's his head. Again, full motion. It's back on there, no problem. His torso, I've never seen articulation like this. He has, like, it looks like an upper diaphragm joint, so it looks like, oh, he's not gonna be that articulated. But inside his torso, he's got, looks like 2 joints. So there's a joint here that goes up and down. There's another joint here, just that spins. So he's got 2, like, 1, 2, well, 3 joints really. So you can get him posing down quite a bit. And he will pose back quite a bit. So you know what that means for flight poses in particular. And just pop him in a quick flight pose. You can get him in a really nice flight pose. And that was one of the things I really liked about the Heroic Age Iron Man when I reviewed him, is the ability for flight poses. Alright, so that's his waist articulation. Again, he'll spin around. You know, so he's got a lot of range of motion. And you just want to line him up when you put him back the way he should be. His shoulders, his shoulder pads both pop up, and we've seen that before in other figures, but looking at him, he's got a ball at the top of his shoulder that will also come down and up. It goes up and down, kind of like an armpit joint in Marvel Legends. He has an upper bicep swivel. He has double jointed elbows, so his arm goes up pretty far. And this is the one where I'm missing the piece, so let me just show you the back of this guy. This is the piece. I actually have the piece. What happened is there are grooves right there, and that piece on mine actually, I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. The little indent piece broke off. So what'll happen is I can pop it on, but there's nothing to attach it to, so it just falls off. So we'll set that aside. Alright, so that's his joint right there. He also has a wrist swivel. And again, his hands are interchangeable, so we're going to show that off in a little bit. So you can just pop his hands off pretty easily. This piece also, set aside. This piece also comes off, and it will peg into the other hands that you can put on. He comes in the package with the 2 fists, like I have them shown here. And then we come to, again, that's his hands. So now we come down to his waist. He has a upper thigh swivel. He has double jointed knees that go all the way back, which is great. He has ankle pivot. And the feet, I didn't talk about the feet yet. The feet are actually die-cast metal. They're not actually plastic, so they add a little bit of weight. So you can easily put him into some really, really nice poses, and it'll help balance it out. That's his feet. No shin swivel or anything like that, but you really don't need it with the way the figure is articulated. And that's pretty much it for his articulation. Again, very, very articulated figure. I can't stress that enough. If you're a fan of like toy photography or ACVA or dios or whatever, this figure is definitely for you. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of the other stuff he comes with, because that's not all. I mean, he is a little bit more expensive. You can get him on Hobby Link Japan right now. I think has them for about 50 bucks. I found it for 50 bucks shipped to the US. On eBay, you're looking at 65 to 80 shipped. This one actually I got on eBay. I didn't realize a Hobby Link was going to restock. Wish I had, and I think I spent 70 with shipping to get them to me from a US seller. But you know, you live and you learn. Alright, so let's take a look at some of his accessories. Well, if you remember in the movie Iron Man, his back flaps are articulated. So you can see how I just popped that off. He has these air brakes. Let's see, I think that's this one here. These air brakes that just like kind of peg in. I think that's the right one. Again, I'm kind of doing this on camera. Yeah, that looks about right. And put this back. So there's one of the air brakes popped up. So if he's flying, I mean, that's pretty cool. I know the Revoltech Mark 7, I believe, actually has air brakes that just lift up and you can actually put them in different positions. These are a little bit different. These just kind of peg in. And I'm going to just pull this off camera for a second because I don't want to break it. That is one thing about these figures. They are a little bit more, I guess fragile is the right word, than your average Marvel Legend. So you do want to be careful with the pieces. So that looks pretty cool. So again, you have them flying. Just to give you an idea, I mean that looks, I can even get the head up even more. That looks pretty badass. So that's one piece he comes with. I'm going to go ahead and pop those back off and then put on his regular flaps. And they just peg in. And then his regular flaps will just push down and peg in. I think it's a little easier if you take these shoulder pieces off first before you try to peg these in. At least I'm having an easier time that way. I mean, I'm not sure if that's the way that they were designed or that's the way it's meant to be, but it's working for me. I think I got the wrong one. There we go. So I mean, I didn't even know it did that you could take that piece off, but definitely awesome figure. Alright, put those back in. So now we have his regular pieces back in, his regular shoulder pieces. Alright, so let's look at some of the other pieces he comes with. He has these flaps in the back here. And let's see if I can get him to pop open. On the War Machine figure, they just kind of flip open. This one's a little different. So then you can expose out his back booster jets, I guess is what you would call it. And they just kind of flip out. And then he should have, here we go, other pieces that just pop in. Maybe it's this one here. There they go. And I move my hand back so you guys can kind of see. You just want to be careful putting them in. And then I think these flip in here somewhere. I haven't really messed with these yet. Huh. In the pictures they show it that way. Let me grab the box. Anyway, as you can kind of see, he's got his flaps back there. Actually, you guys are just looking at his ass right now. Oh, no, they don't have anything that goes in the back. They just kind of flip out open like that. And then, I guess these we plug in his feet. Yeah, the big ones we plug in his feet. Hope you guys are enjoying the video. I know it's a little different than what I normally do. Not as clear. Oh wow, that looks actually pretty sweet. And now let's give him some different hands. Let's see what hands we want to give him. We'll give him the flight hand once I find out which one that is. Alright, I think it's these here. So what you do is you just pop this off very carefully. You see there's a little notch there, and then you just plug it right into his hand. Again, you want to be very careful not to break these, because if you're like me and you already broke the one piece, it's going to suck trying to get a replacement. And then just pop the hand on. Oh, okay. And then you can have Iron Man flying. And that looks really, really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the other hand on real quick, because I just want to give you guys the full effect on that. You pop the hand off very carefully. You pop this piece off, and then you grab the right hand, like it goes to, and pop this back in. Again, just plugs in real easy. The hands are interchangeable. They're very, very easy to work with. Alright, sweet. So then you can easily get him into a very, very nice flying pose, where he's got all his boosters coming out. He's got his little flap things. I don't know what you call those. And then those pieces. That actually looks really, really cool. Alright, so let's see what else we got. What else we can do with this guy. Take these out. Take these out. And I'm just going to pop these out. Like I said, on the War Machine, these are a little bit different. I think I like the Iron Man ones better. I noticed on my War Machine when I was first got it, these pieces like to flip out a lot on me. Alright, so you can have these be his repulsor blast. That looks pretty cool. Those are some small ones. Let's give him some larger repulsor blasts. These blast pieces are a softer plastic. And they look really, really nice. I mean, I know the camera's not going to do this justice, but they are very, very articulated. I mean, you could easily get Iron Man some really nice poses. Again, I'm not even really trying. He looks really, really badass. So those are the other pieces he comes with. So in total you get these little pieces here that you can use for like flight. You get these bigger blast effects that will go in his feet, also for flight. And then you get your repulsor blasts. It also comes with more hands. It comes with a straight hand and kind of like an open palm hand type of thing. So yeah, so Iron Man comes with a lot. You know, like I said, the only thing I don't like about the figure, the only thing, is the fact that mine, the little elbow piece, broke. Alright, so let's take these out. I'm not going to bother to put the fist back in, because now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, and this is going to be the very end of the review. I know it's kind of long, but this figure is amazing. I can't stress it enough. Size comparisons, because this is what I think stops a lot of people from actually taking this figure and looking at it and seeing if they actually want to grab it. And I would say, yeah, you really do want to get this figure. I mean, and if you are interested, get it now. Because Figuarts figures, I've noticed just by looking a little bit, they go up in value. They don't go down. They're not like Marvel Legends, where sometimes you get a deal and you can actually get it for like $10. You'll never see this figure for $10. I mean, you might at, you know, someone didn't know what they had, but... So here he is kind of standing up more or less straight. Let me tilt my camera down. Alright, so we have Iron Man. I'll put him in the back so you guys can kind of see. He's more or less straight, with pieces off to the side. So let's first compare him to the Hasbro Mark 6. I was never a big fan of this figure. I'm still not a big fan. And I have their legs almost straight. So you can see that the Mark 6 on the left is actually your Figuarts figure. It is a little bit shorter than the Hasbro version. One of the things I forgot to mention about the articulation was you can actually, number one, you can play with the articulation a lot, so you can make him in different poses so he looks a little taller. And he also has this thing up with his hips where they actually will kind of pop down. Just be careful. And yes, you are going to have a little bit of a gap, but if you are creative, you can actually make it seem like he's a little bit taller than he really is. Even if it's just by like an inch or, you know, like a quarter of an inch. So that puts him in a little bit better scale. Yes, you are going to see this little bit of a gap around his crotch area, but again, it's not that big of a deal. You know, I think it does work. So let's take Mark 6 out of there. Let's grab some other Iron Mans to compare him to. How about the Extremis Iron Man? I think everyone has one of these. You know, we all had to buy it to get that that Ironmonger figure when they repainted it as the Iron Patriot. So you can see, he looks pretty good. He looks pretty good in scale. Even if I shorten him up a little bit, and I say shorten it, I mean, it's not even a lot. It's just by like, well, just a hair. You know, he looks pretty decent next to the Extremis. He could easily pass for Iron Man. Alright, so how about the Bleeding Edge Iron Man? And I'm almost scared to do this comparison because, I mean, the Bleeding Edge or the Heroic Age Iron Man is a really nice figure. And he is bigger. I mean, he doesn't look too bad. He does look a little short. If I was going to pose him in a picture or something like that, I would do the trick with the hips. The other thing you could do with your Iron Man, don't forget, is if you have him in a flying pose, it plays with the perspective. So it works out kind of well. So I have the Mark 5 from Hasbro. And I think that's a pretty good comparison. I mean, he stands, and that's with his hips fully down. He stands pretty well with the Mark 5. I do have the Mark 5 Reveltech coming. I'm slowly trying to replace out my movie armors with better ones. So we'll do a comparison again once I get that one. And then just one of the last ones I'm going to do is the Toy Biz Gold Iron Man variant. Now, the Toy Biz Iron Man is bulky. We can all agree on that. So, is he going to stand up to that? Probably not. And how about one more? Actually, we'll do two more. The other one I want to compare him to is the Hasbro Iron Man. This was the one that just came out in that Ironmonger wave, or the 2-pack, if you will. I think he stands pretty well. I mean, he actually, I have his feet spread a little bit further apart. Yeah, I know that, but I think it's a pretty decent size comparison. And yes, this guy is, notorious for being skinny, but I think it kind of works. Alright, and then the last one we'll show him off with is the Rebel Tech War Machine. And yeah, he does stand smaller, but that makes sense because War Machine is supposed to be a big dude. I mean, he's carrying a lot of firepower. This is supposed to be a sleek, almost like a F-16 or F-22 fighter jet suit. So that makes sense to me. Anyway, guys, that's it. It's been a really long review. It's clocking in at about 25 minutes. I'm sorry for taking so much of your time, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you definitely come check us out on the mucollectorclub.com forums. Again, my name is US Agent 27, and I want to thank you for watching.